It's so much hate watching and hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean, it is a rabies-infested henhouse.
And at the same time, it seemed like the most interesting part was their audience seemed to be on my side.
Yes.
To be, if you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin.
You think it's deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked, and you went on stage with it and just it's nothing.
Imagine Joe Rogan and Coleman Hughes approaching The View with the calm determination of two men fixing a leaky faucet, only to end up flooding the entire house with reason. No shouting, no insults, just quiet surgical dismantling that left the hosts blinking like they missed their cues. It's always the quiet ones you have to watch. And these two turned daytime drama into a masterclass in composure. Curious how it all played out? You're definitely going to want to watch this.
You see what Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have to see it, because it's so
on TV.
crazy.
She said
on television.
Just let's look at a scenario where the Supreme Court says, yes, he has all those rights. He is immune from everything. Yeah. You know what Joe Biden could do since he is presently president?
What?
Whoa. He could throw every Republican in jail.
While The View's hosts were busy reenacting an emotional breakdown over coffee mugs and cue cards, Joe Rogan and Coleman Hughes were quietly dismantling them from afar, with intelligence and precision, never even stepping foot on the stage. It was the roast equivalent of a sniper shot from 3 time zones away. No yelling, no table flipping, none of the melodramatic antics that shatter wine glasses. Just sharp, calculated reasoning, launched from the podcast world like a precision-guided missile.
It's a strange show, but it's fun to watch. It's just fun to watch them.
It's good entertainment.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Well, they're just, it's interesting because I think Sunny's very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
That's sort of. I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones don't have to name any names. Are just very dull-minded. But I think Sunny's not one of them. I think she's smart but captured.
Sure. I think she came into it with an agenda.
Of course.
It's a bizarre show, but hey, it's entertaining. It's simply fun to watch. Great entertainment. Absolutely. The interesting thing is, I think Sunny is actually very intelligent, but she's ideologically trapped, right? That's my belief. Some of the others, no need to name names, come across as simply not very bright, but I don't count Sunny among them. I think she's sharp, just captured by a narrative. Sure, I believe she came in with an agenda naturally.
Saw you on The View.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's been overwhelming my past couple days.
Yeah, is that annoying?
No.
No?
No, I mean, it's just, when I was on there, I really had no idea how it was going to land with the audience. So I just went in there, did my thing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know who Sunny Hostin was. I actually still really don't know. So I wasn't expecting necessarily for her to kind of try to ambush me in that way and attack my character in that way.
Let's rewind to what kicked off this elegantly detached takedown. The View, in its usual midday meltdown style, tossed out sweeping declarations about, well, everything. Politics, culture, race, you name it, all delivered with the subtlety of a foghorn at a funeral. And when those declarations included thinly veiled jabs at so-called anti-woke men, guess whose name started trending on Twitter? That's right. Joe Rogan and Coleman Hughes quickly dubbed the intellectual avengers of sanity.
I'm being honest with you, because I want to be. Believe that you are being used as a pawn by the right, and that you're a charlatan of sorts.
He's not a Republican.
So how do you...
He's never voted for a Republican.
You've said that you're a conservative.
No, I don't think I've been co-opted by anyone. I've only voted twice, both for Democrats. Although I'm an independent, I would vote for a Republican, probably a non-Trump Republican if they were compelling. I don't think there's any evidence I've been co-opted by anyone, and I think that that's That's an ad hominem tactic people use to not address really the important conversations we're having here. And I think it's better, and it would be better for everyone if we stuck to the topics rather than make it about me.
So there they were. Rogan probably lifting kettlebells while simultaneously recording a podcast, and Coleman perhaps ironing his shirt while pondering political philosophy. Somewhere between their tasks, they each found time to respond to the carnival that is The View. Joe went first, of course, and true to form, it wasn't a rant. It wasn't dramatic. It was devastating. And it was calm.
With
It's not
no
about you,
evidence
but
that I've been
I
co-opted.
want to give you the opportunity to respond to the
I appreciate it.
the criticism.
I appreciate I've been co-opted by anyone. I have an independent podcast. I work for CNN as an analyst. I write for the Free Press. I'm independent in all of these endeavors, and no one is paying me to say what I'm saying. I'm saying it because I feel it.
Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it. He
believes in dragons?
He believes in dragons.
Joey Behar was trying to say that I believe in dragons.
Wait, what is this? I just
She
heard
said,
about it.
I checked it. And the lady goes, did you double check it? She goes, I checked it. He believes in dragons.
Should be like
you think they live
Sasquatch,
alongside of
bitch.
people?
Wait,
This is
wait,
from a wildlife biologist who came on my podcast.
The kind of quiet that makes opponents more nervous than a sack of cats at a dog show. He described the show as a mix of daytime soap and an improv class where everyone avoids facts. The hosts weren't engaging. They were performing. Not for intellectuals, but for applause lines and Twitter clips. Meanwhile, Coleman Hughes delivered his response with a level of calm that made Rogan seem like he was ranting. No sarcasm, just cold, clear data. Graphs resembling emotional stability. Everything The View couldn't grasp. He noted how the show debates race and politics with the depth of a summer puddle. Every idea they presented was more recycled than a Whole Foods shopping bag. The real kicker, neither of them appeared on the show. They didn't have to. They dismantled it from the comfort of their own platforms. That's like defeating a video game boss using cheat codes and one button. They watched The View unravel and said, "No thanks, but here's our take anyway." Brace yourself.
The anti-racism movement, that is just another form of racism. And you even say it has a lot in common with white supremacy. How can you compare those two things?
They both view your race as extremely significant part of who you are. Neo-racists like Rob D'Angelo, they say that to be white is to be ignorant. Well, this is a racial stereotype, and I want to call a spade and say this is not the style of anti-racism we have to be teaching our kids. We should be teaching them that your race is not a significant feature of who you are. Who you are is your character, your value, and your skin color doesn't say anything about that.
Joe criticized The View's attacks on male perspectives, not out of anger, but because they were absurd. He noted how the show mixes dissent with contempt and facts with hostility. Coleman calmly exposed how the show thrives on conflict, not truth, seeking villains, not dialogue. Rogan and Hughes, being thoughtful and composed, were the perfect targets. One host even threw shade, calling men with microphones toxic. Ironically, on a show that's essentially a podcast with applause cues and Botox.
That show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in. You know, and they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her. And, you know, they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's just, it's a bizarre show.
So we had 8 minutes, and America's approach to race, pretty big topic, pretty important topic.
I think the way before you start, I think the way you described it is.
Now here's where it gets especially funny. Instead of countering with substance, The View defaulted to its usual setting, dramatic victimhood. Suddenly, they were the ones under attack. Not directly, of course. Rogan and Hughes were far too classy for that, but by implication. And nothing sends The View into a frenzy like being treated with indifference. It's like a fire alarm going off during yoga. And speaking of spirals, let's examine their reaction, or lack thereof. Rather than engaging with the critique honestly, they tiptoed around it like it was a hot stove. The usual buzzwords came out: privilege, ignorance, fragile masculinity. Basically, a round of intellectual bingo. Meanwhile, Rogan and Hughes had moved on to addressing actual misinformation or speaking with guests who can pronounce epistemology without stammering. Joe didn't even raise his voice. He just chuckled, a soft laugh that said, "Oh, sweetie, you're not ready." Coleman, on the other hand, probably opened Excel and started color-coding The View's logical fallacies. It wasn't a battle, it was an audit, and The View failed. Let's not ignore the irony. The View, a show that prides itself on amplifying strong, diverse female voices, can't seem to handle strong, diverse male voices, especially the kind that don't melt down mid-sentence. They claim to support diversity, but only if it comes with a script, pre-approved outrage, and zero questions.
If you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
you don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin.
You think it's
dumb.
deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked, and you went on stage with it and it's nothing.
Now imagine getting intellectually dismantled by two people who didn't even show up to the fight. It's like preparing for a duel, only to receive a perfectly argued thesis instead. You can't throw punches at facts, but that didn't stop The View from trying. Their response was like playing Uno against a chess grandmaster. The internet had a field day, with memes showing Rogan as Gandalf and Coleman reading How to Win Arguments Without Talking to Anyone on The View. But behind the laughs was a serious point. The View thrives on outrage, not facts. Joe prefers deep, thoughtful conversations, while Coleman champions calm, rational dialogue. As The View erupts with noise and drama, Joe and Coleman quietly expose the emptiness behind it all. Cool, composed, and focused on truth over theatrics.
So we had 8 minutes to deal with this topic on one of the biggest platforms in the country, and especially an audience that isn't my typical audience. If anything, The View's audience is really who needs to hear my message the most. And Sunny decided to take up a few minutes of that precious 8 minutes and attack me as someone who's been co-opted by the right and someone who's a charlatan. And
Did she use the term charlatan?
she did, and it's funny because I actually didn't notice it in real time. It kind of went in one ear and out the other.
Watching them dissect a topic while The View throws a tantrum is like watching someone scream at a damp log trying to start a fire. The View is all surface, emotion and spectacle with no substance. Joe and Coleman, meanwhile, deliver arguments like a crisp fall breeze. Pleasant, clear, and just uncomfortable enough to make people think. Picture the split screen. On one side, The View hosts flailing like fish out of water. On the other, Joe and Coleman sipping coffee and making laser-precise points. The difference is staggering. It's not even close. This wasn't a debate. It was a reality check delivered with style, a smirk, and just enough patience to make you wonder if The View knows how to hold a real conversation. Even YouTube comments, which aren't known for their tact, were united. The View just got intellectually wrecked by two guys who didn't even raise their voices. Some called it a masterclass, others a mercy kill. Either way, it was brutal, quietly brutal. And what really made it sting? Finality. There was no follow-up, Rogan and Hughes said their piece, and unlike The View, they moved on. No drama, no milking it.
That show, you want to talk about a show that set women back, is The View. You want to talk about that show, if the CIA is engineering Antifa and fucking the Capitol riot, some crazy misogynist engineered The View, because there's nothing worse than The View. In terms of there are so many brilliant women out there. None of them are on The View. None of them have gone near the set of The View. I mean, they have brought in the lowest tier of the, what is it, the Y chromosome?
No.
The X. Okay.
They saw The View's collapse as a speed bump on the road to deeper thought. That's the difference between thinkers and performers. Rogan and Hughes didn't yell, cry, or sip from mugs with their names on them. They just spoke. Once. And that was enough to send The View spiraling into defensiveness, denial, and distraction. Naturally, the show tried to rewrite the story. The View claims to champion brave women refusing to be silenced, yet their real issue isn't men. It's their own habit of shouting over substance. They've become parodies of themselves, chasing outrage while Rogan and Hughes calmly dismantle. Their narrative with quiet clarity. No insults, just coherence. And now, the show faces the worst outcome for one built on noise: being ignored. While they spiral, Joe and Coleman sip coffee, speak truth, and win with reason, not volume. So, what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you don't want to miss out on the hottest celebrity news, make sure to subscribe to Daily Finder.